glorious celebrations, head-scratching errors, unbelievable performances. Sport wouldn't be sport without moments like these, although some are more memorable than others.
My goodness.
Lewis Hamilton is the world champion.
Jesse Owens of Ohio State set up a new world record.
Last half of the second inning, Robinson gets the first hit of 4.
On December the 8th, one of those moments changed football forever.
Say to come on, this is football. This is not football.
And they are, leaving the field of play.
Paris Saint-Germain played host to Istanbul Basaksehir, a Champions League game that no one could have predicted would turn out to be historic. The Parisians were already through to the next round, but needed a win to top the group, while the Turkish side were already confirmed to last. And it was business as usual at the Parc until the 14th minute. Sebastian Coltescu, the game's fourth official, advised the head referee to give the Basaksehir assistant coach Pierre Webo a red card for his behaviour. However, the Romanian used the words, "the black one," when explaining who should be sent off. And that was the tipping point. The team had his back.
You never say this white guy, you say these guys. So why when you mention me, listen to me, why when you mention a black guy, you have to say this black guy?
And Basaksehir walked off the pitch in protest. Within minutes, PSG followed suit.
A game really that had just got going.
Support poured in almost immediately.
They understand the power that they have, the agency that they have, and that they can walk off the pitch. They are entirely within their rights to do so.
İnşallah ileride insanları ayırt etmemiz, onlara lakap takmadığımız yılları bir an önce görürüz.
Il existe aussi de choses plus importantes que foot, plus importantes que sport.
The match was suspended and replayed a day later with new referees. PSG won comfortably 5-1, but the game will be remembered for how the players took the fight against racism into their own hands and how they set an example for the rest of the game. So join us on this special programme as we have an in-depth discussion with Basaksehir's Pierre Webo and Demba about the events on that night in Paris.
Ouais, moi personnellement, ça m'est arrivé quand j'étais en Espagne. Il y a eu plusieurs matchs, à part je me dis à l'époque peut-être c'était la mode, on se disait c'était la mode, parce que il y avait des cris de singe dans les tribunes toute fois que je touchais au ballon ou que je marquais un but. Ça m'était mal à l'aise, surtout que vous savez quand vous jouez et que votre famille est dans les tribunes et que vous rencontrez, vous avez ce genre de situation, ça fait être vraiment mal à l'aise quand l'enfant, mon fils me posait ces questions, je savais pas, plein de fois je ne savais pas vraiment quoi lui dire. Mais je dis, ça t'est arrivé, mais on continuait. C'est ça la différence entre le 8 décembre et tous ces moments. Ça m'est arrivé il y a 14-15 ans quand j'étais sur le terrain. Maintenant, pour une fois comme entraîneur, ça s'est arrivé. Et les joueurs de cette équipe, de ces deux équipes, ils ont dit non, basta, ici ça s'arrête. Et je pense que c'est ça le plus important.
How do you feel watching the footage back? I mean, do you remember how you were feeling at that moment? Do you recognize the person you saw on the screen?
À dire vrai non, parce que, bon, me connaissant, franchement, c'est la première fois que je me vois dans cet état. Et c'était vraiment très fort et les images étaient très fortes. Je ne me suis pas reconnu. Et toute ma famille, mes amis, tous mes proches ont dit « Waouh, ça c'est vraiment pas chill ça ». Donc ce qui fait que c'est des moments qui ne sont pas bien à vivre et c'est un moment instinctif. Et c'est ça, c'est la rage et ce qui est sorti de l'intérieur qui qui s'est vu, non? C'était pas des moments où c'était pas calculable.
If in that moment he said to you, you know, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that using that term was offensive. My bad, I'm sorry. Do you think the situation would have de-escalated? Would you have forgiven him? Would you have been, you know what, okay, you know what, he's accepted what he said was offensive to me?
Peut-être. Ma réaction a été celle que vous avez tout le monde a vue. Mais en aucun moment non plus il a demandé pardon, en aucun moment non plus il s'est excusé. Déjà, je n'attendais peut-être pas ça. Ben, je dis, ma réaction, c'était celle que tout le monde vous avez vue. Mais au fond, je dis, la personne en soi n'est pas venue demander pardon. Et je n'ai reçu non plus aucun appel de lui ou bien de son staff, de ses arbitres-là. Donc, je dis encore, je pense qu'ici, le message qui est passé, c'est que, en tant qu'officiel, en tant qu'acteur, nous sommes des exemples et nous ne devrons pas faire ce genre de choses, nous ne devons pas commettre ce genre d'erreurs. Et je pense aussi que la réaction des joueurs sur leur terrain est exemplaire parce que, voilà, pour une fois, ils ont fait savoir au monde qu'ils ont une voix, qu'ils sont unis, qu'ils sont solidaires, que nous sommes solidaires, les acteurs, et que s'il y a des choses qui arrivent, on peut prendre une décision aussi forte comme celle qu'on a prise.
When was the moment yourselves and the club, Basaksehir, decided, you know what, we're not going to come back out?
Premièrement, ici aussi, je veux féliciter notre président de club, le président de la République aussi de la Turquie pour leur soutien. Et spécialement, le président de notre club, après le match, il nous a fait un appel en vidéo caméra. Il nous a dit, oui les gars, je suis avec vous, faites ce qui vous vient du cœur, comme club, la décision que vous prenez, nous sommes une famille. Et comme une fois je dis, je veux le réitérer, vous savez, plein de fois dans le football, dans le sport, on dit on est des familles. Pour une fois, après ma longue carrière, je me suis senti vraiment comme une famille. Parce que pour un cas comme le mien, tous, je dis encore tous, ont pris la même décision pour me soutenir. Et revenant à ta question, et quand nous sommes rentrés dans les vestiaires, tous sont venus vers moi. Ils m'ont dit, on te soutient. Pas seulement nous, même les joueurs et le club du Paris Saint-Germain qui était à côté, ils étaient dans la même situation que moi. Ils se sentaient vraiment imprégnés dans cette situation. Ce qui fait que je me suis senti vraiment couvert. Je me suis senti couvert non seulement par mes coéquipiers, aussi par ceux du Paris Saint-Germain, spécialement notre président et le président de la République turque.
When did you realize that this moment was monumental and almost bigger than football?
C'était trop fort. Et oui, après avoir parlé avec mon fils, il m'a dit, papa, tout le monde me demande qu'est-ce qui se passe. Je le réalisais aussi parce que j'ai eu des moments comme ça auparavant, aussi pas en Uruguay, en Espagne, et on ne s'était jamais arrêté. C'était un cas ponctuel, ça se calmait, on continuait à jouer. Donc c'est quand toute l'équipe, de Paris Saint-Germain, notre équipe, tous ensemble, je veux dire Demba, Marquinhos, Leonardo, le président qui était là, notre staff technique, on était tous ensemble et on avait pour une fois la même conviction de dire on ne continue pas parce que c'est une faute très grave. C'est là où j'ai senti que oui, ça allait c'était un point de départ pour une action très forte.
There's also been accusations made towards yourself and towards the backroom staff that someone referred to the Romanian referees using a derogatory term. Can you clarify that?
Mais c'est normal, vous savez, quand il y a une action et une réaction, il va y avoir beaucoup de choses se sont dites, beaucoup de choses je continue à entendre beaucoup de choses, mais je pense que le plus important ici, c'est de tirer des leçons. C'est pas une chose contre notre staff ou contre, je sais pas moi, Ouais, de là encore, j'ai dit encore la solidarité que nous avons eue, tous les acteurs, et ça fait à ce que, oui, c'est un message très fort pour le dire. Si demain, il y a un autre geste qui arrive comme celui-là dans un stade, sachez que lui, on l'a déjà fait contre le jour le 8 décembre, Basaksehir contre Paris Saint-Germain. Donc je dis, d'ici que ce soit le 8 décembre, soit une journée très forte, très importante pour le futur du sport, pour le futur du sport en général.
Before Basaksehir walked off, racism had repeatedly reared its ugly head in the so-called beautiful game. England players were verbally abused in Bulgaria in October in 2019. A month later, Verona fans targeted Mario Balotelli with racist chants. A daily sports newspaper in Italy ran the headline Black Friday in December that year, showing Romelu Lukaku and Chris Smalling. In June this year, a banner reading White Lives Matter was flown over the Etihad while players were kneeling in support of the Black Lives Matter movement. Despite the lessons football authorities could have learned from these cases, the incidents kept piling on. But that night in Paris added a new dimension to the fight against racism. And the man who took the lead was Demba.
And when Pierre was shouting with the referee, I was just sitting in the stand and just asking myself, what is happening, you know? And then when I got exactly what happened, my objective was just to find out why it makes such a difference when we're on a football field, which is not the place to do all these differences. You know, we all talk about respect, about equality, about everything, and why would you make, as an official, such a difference when you could have defined that player by many other things? Before being black, what is he on Basaksehir side? Is he a player or is he a coach? Don't get me wrong, I'm not attacking that referee, right? I'm not making any statement when I come. My word starts by why, which is a question, which have never been answered. And I just went and asked the question. If he would have told me, listen, the other guy, I called him white 5 minutes ago, I would have said, okay, fine. I'll go back and sit in the bench, and then the game continues, you know what I mean? But that didn't happen. I didn't have any answer. He was probably surprised of why am I being attacked? And I understand that he might be surprised because, unfortunately, there is some words that have been normalized in our mind, in our subconscious, and we just say them randomly, not knowing what they can trigger, forgetting the history of some of the world, not knowing the emotional impact that these words have on people. You don't know what it is to be black unless you're black. You don't know what it is to be white unless you're white. You don't know. With the history and what we have lived in our life growing up, you don't know how that might affect us the minute the word comes in.
Seeing the reaction to Tuesday night, there's been a bit of a debate and a discussion about whether what happened was actually racist. And some commentators, black and white, all backgrounds, have said, you know what, it actually wasn't racist because he was just referring to him because he's a black man. So what do you say to that?
We all have to accept the one and the other's opinions. We grow up differently, we grow up in different cultures. Even being black, some grow up in Europe, some grow up in Africa. Some white grow up in Africa, some white grow up in Europe. So we all gonna have a difference of opinion on this based on our history. This is when I say we have to accept. And once again, the problem is not the fact that he called the coach a black man. Any because I am black, and I know it. And you know, if I talk about me by being black, it's not going to be racist. But the context in which you are referring to, this is first. And second, would you do the same with people from different colors? Would you do the same with the white one? Or would you do the same with the Asian one? Would you do the same? If you do the same...
Some may say that they would. If there were 5 black men or 5 black women and there was a white woman there, you'd say, oh, yeah, the white woman there. You know, that's the easiest thing.
But in the context of football, with everything that is happening today in 2020, with all this movement of Black Lives Matter and stuff like this, you know, you have to pay attention when you're an official on how you're referring to players. They're doing their homework. They know who is who. Trust me, I have been ref by some referees this year in Europe and last season that I've never faced any time in my life. And they all call me by my first name, Demba.
But they know who you are. You're Demba.
They know who I am. But they should do their homework also on the staff members, on the players that have less views or have had less views in their career. Because once you arrive, you start to interact with these people. You have to know who they are. You come from a different country, and you come to ref 2 teams full of nationalities. We have to bring the circumstances back. We're on a football field. Players were heated, you know. It was an important game. Paris needs to win to be sure to stay in the Champions League. And we come just to fight because we're competitors. We want to win this league. Once again, the context, we go back to the context. We have considered 3 yellow cards in 10 minutes. I've never seen this in football. 3 yellow cards. Mahmoud, Tekdemir, Rafa, and the coach. In 10 minutes, I've never seen this anywhere. So already, you start to trigger something. If you give me 3 yellow cards in 10 minutes for my team, I will start to think, oh, this guy is here to just, you know what I mean? And then in this context, you have to pay attention of what you said. So once again, is he racist? I don't know, I believe probably not. Can a racist comment come out of somebody's not racist? Yes, absolutely.
Take us back to that evening when you all walked in and you were all in the dressing room. What was the feeling? What was the atmosphere? What were you discussing?
We were discussing basically going out or staying in. Basically, that was the thing. Simple, as simple as this: going out or staying in. Some people, I don't want to say they wanted to go out, but it was fine if they go back out. Some others, absolutely not. I was one of those who didn't want to go out. But I've looked at my teammate, and I said to my teammate, listen, you guys doesn't know what we have lived growing up. Unless you're black, then probably. Or you might have lived it, but in a different way. I am not going to go back out. Because at some point, we have to stop. It's not the worst thing that have happened on the football field. But at some point, we have to say stop. Whether if it's the biggest insult, whether if it's the lowest insult, we have to stop. Because we're living in a world that racism have become normal. Can you imagine? It has become normal to say somebody black like this, straight up. You don't know him, you know what I mean? So I said to the guys, listen, in terms of values, we might be different. But the thing is, I respect your values and I am tolerant towards your values. If this is not something that is that you feel you want to fight for it, it's absolutely fine. You go out and you play your game. And I will support you because on my end, I accept that we have differences and I am tolerant towards what you guys believe ultimately. So if you guys want to go out, 100%, you go, you fight. I will just go, get showered and go in the stand and watch you play. And that was the thing that what happened in the dressing room. Afterwards, we have some discussion. Some says I go out, some says I don't go. And then some others, they say, no, it's everybody or nobody. And we ended up staying. Hats off to the players of Basaksehir because they felt also that something had to be made. Hats off to players of Paris Saint-Germain because they could have stayed on the field and say, no, we are here to play. They're not here, so they either come out and play or we win this game. But they decided to just stop. some of the elements of Paris, or I would say one element of Paris, I wish he'd been in front of camera and explain how he treated us, because I don't accept this and I will never accept it, and the next time I see him, he will hear about it. But hats off to these people.
Who are you referring to then?
Their manager.
Ah. Do you want to go into that now? Like
No,
what happened?
no, I'm not going into that, but he probably will go into this. I mean, he had discussion with one or two players of our team and basically blaming us for what happened. So that's his problem, that's not mine. And this is not something I will share on camera, but if I have to see him one day, I will share with him.
And when did you realise that you guys have actually made a bit of history there? A Champions League game was suspended, had to be put on the next day. You messed with broadcasters, schedules, everything. Like when did that moment happen where you thought, oh my gosh, actually, no one has actually done this before? It's been spoken about. It's been said that teams and players should walk off.
But this moment would happen. It came on us, but it would have happened eventually, anytime, because things have been normalized. Can you imagine in Italy, after Romelu Lukaku, some people were doing noises of monkeys. His own fans from Inter Milan sent a letter saying, yeah, but it's normal, we just do this to destabilize the player. In what world are we living? That you say, no, it's all right, it's normal, we just so the player is destabilized. So at some point it would have come.
I want to read a post about you. The game needs more leaders like Demba. If this energy, diversity and experience was seen in every football boardroom, we wouldn't see such weak responses and aimless solutions to racism in football. How do you feel about that?
I would say the game needs more like my mom and my dad. You know what I mean? Okay. Because, you know, they taught me to always accept the truth, even if it comes from your enemy, and to always reject the lie, even if it comes from your best friend. And I think I grew up with those values. So one thing I will keep doing for sure is fighting for everybody's right behind the scenes, because I don't want to be seen. I don't need people to see me to change things, you know. And I have this willing of impact. I don't know if you get me. I want to make sure that the generations to come, they don't have to live this.
So moving forward, how do we go forward? What happens now? Change
a lot of things.
Where do we start?
Where do we start? We probably have to sit down all together and make some plans, and then follow the plans. It's all good to have some billboards and banners and put some patches here, some badges.
How do you feel seeing all of that, actually? I mean, I know it's quite exhausting because, okay, yeah, you put the banner up, you wear the T-shirts, you have the nice slogans.
It's useless. It's useless. From my point of view, once again, I speak only for myself, and I'm responsible only for myself, right? Okay. But from my point of view, it's useless. What we have to do is change education. If you have a good education, you're gonna become somebody of values. I'm not blaming no parents, right? I'm not blaming no parents. Because I believe that everybody does the best based on what he knows. And we all know different. Some knows more, some knows less. But we all do the best. But some entities like UEFA, for example, they have also big responsibility, and I believe they take the responsibility. We have to educate. This is where it starts. When you start educating people, things are different. Education, travels, this is what you have to do to be able to bring awareness to people, to know about others. Because the minute you know about others, racism is just a problem of differences. I don't know this. Some people, they can be racist against black, but they all love Michael Jordan. Because somehow they probably feel that they know him through his career. So all of a sudden, they don't hate him anymore. Maybe if they would interact with others, other blacks, it would be different, you know? So I believe education have a big part on it.
Finally, would you do it all again? Would you walk off again?
Yes, I would walk off again for one reason. Because I think I was, at that moment, aligned with my thoughts and my values. And that's why I said to the players, if you guys are not aligned between what you think and what you feel and what your values are, then go out. It makes no sense for you to stay here.
But they all stayed with you.
They all stayed, and I'm proud of them.